Hello, I'm Greg Harrison with USDA Market News Service here in St. Joe, Missouri with your National Feeder Cattle Summary this week. Well, looking at the cattle market this week compared to last week, calf market pretty much traded unevenly steady, trading within ranges from steady to 3 higher, some instances steady to 5 higher to steady to $5 lower on the calves. Yearlings this week trading mostly steady to $5 lower. Support remains very good for a lot of these 5-weight steers and heifers and some lightweight yearlings in the 600-pound range with good weighing conditions that could go to grass later on and also in the growing yards and later in the feedlots. But many auctions throughout the trade area and the auction areas are seeing a lot of 5-weight steers still trading well over the $2 mark, or trading in that $2 or very near it, anywhere from $2 to $2.10. And then places we've seen Wednesday in Torrington, Wyoming, where they sold over 5,200 head of cattle and had some 550-pound steers right at 225 of them, averaging 526 pounds, sold with a weighted average price of $222.76, and they sold right at 280 head, weighing between 550 and 600 pounds, that sold with a weighted average weight of 566 pounds and a weighted average price of $203.61. No doubt these were good top quality calves, but throughout the trade areas we're seeing a lot of these 5-weight steers still bringing good prices from $2 to $2.10, and you see some that will trade from $2.15 to $2.20 in certain areas. But demand remains very good on these calves going to grass. And as we get ready to turn the calendar going to March, there is a lot of pressure that still looms over the market. Last Friday we saw a sell-off in the cattle futures, and this saw packers step away from the table last Friday, and as fed cattle market looked like it would be no worse than steady. Well, it wound up with a disappointment, trading mostly $2 lower last week at 136. And then this week we've seen futures have a kind of a rough week this week also. Started off Monday, limit losses on live cattle and feeder cattle futures. Wednesday we saw it bounce back and maybe thought it was going to straighten up. Then on Thursday we saw the stock market it's had a rough week this week also, and stock market on Thursday at one point was down about 400 points, and this just spilled over into the cattle futures market, and we saw on Thursday live cattle futures trade mostly in the 225 to 250 lower range, and feeder cattle in that 150 range lower. And this just this global markets and things we're seeing, just a lot of pressure there, and it just keeps a lot of volatility within the feeder cattle market, and it stays very fluid, moving one direction or the other, and very fast with wide swings up and down. As there's a lot of caution remains in these markets. This is just a market you just don't want to take for granted, because if you do, you're going to wind up disappointed. Box beef prices this week traded mostly lower this week. Thursday's close was on choice product was $1.17 lower, trading at $217.02. And you go back to last Thursday's close, it closed at $223 and right at 25 cents. So we've lost roughly between $5.50 and $6 in the last week on that. So looking at some regional weighted averages this week in the north central region on 6-weight steers, about $4 lower at 173.46. 7 to 800 pound steers roughly about $5 lower at 158.87. 8 to 900 pound steers $2 lower at 149.14. South Central region, 5-weight steers about $1 lower than last week at 185.54. 6-weight steers about $2 lower at 167.39, and 8-weight steers around $3 lower at 147.02. Southeast regions, 4-weight steers about $1 higher than last week at 192.47, and 5-weight steers running between $2 and $3 higher at 176.80. That's your markets for this week. Thanks for listening. Be back with you next week.